Hello, I am here to explain this part of our Desmos activity that we did for you yesterday or 2 days ago on Desmos. This is what you spent your whole class doing. So hopefully you guys all got to this screen that you see in front of you. Now realize that we've got these points right here that we want to bring this curve up to meet. And you've got all of these sliders to just kind of play around with, right? And here's a few suggestions. I would first start with D. I would first start with this guy. Notice that this guy, when you shift it back and forth, it only moves the curve up and down. It is your vertical shift. I would recommend shifting this guy vertically until you feel like it's kind of smack dab in between all of these points, right? So now that I've done that and I've shifted this vertically, I'll give you a hint. It's always whole numbers. So try and move it as best as you possibly can. And if you notice that it's like a decimal over by here, that means that you're really close, but not quite. So it's always going to be a whole number or like a nice decimal. All right, and then I'm going to move on to A. And notice what happens when I change A. It makes it either really, really tall, or it makes it almost like a flat line. If it becomes 0, it is a flat line. So I'm going to try and move this guy such that, notice that this maximum part right here, I want to move it so that it reaches up to this point right here. So I'm going to keep making this bigger and bigger and bigger until I realize that that point has now hit my curve. So now I've changed A to the appropriate amount such that it's the correct height. And I am almost done. I've vertically shifted my curve up. I've stretched out that sinusoidal curve up to make sure it's as tall as it needs to be. And now I need to change my B so it either stretches it like an accordion, right? So it either goes in or it gets stretched out. And notice that those points are further in than the red curve that I have right now. If I bring this guy out, realize that the larger my B gets, the closer together my curves get, versus if I go between 0 and 1, so in other words, like a decimal, right? It gets larger and larger and larger. So I want to make it closer together. So I'm going to make it a bigger number for B. And I'm going to just keep bringing it in until it hits those points exactly. And notice again, it's a nice whole number. Okay. So that is how you make these curves. And that is how you go through. I would first figure out the vertical shift. And then from there, figure out how much has been stretched out, and then figure out how squished or how wide do I need to be. And it's all just little sliders on your screen. So if you didn't know how to do this the last time we met and you're doing this again now for warm up, here's a little bit of a helpful hint. If you have more questions, let me know.